Hi, T. Carlson here, and the people at Scream Factory are at it again, and they've just given us a great new reissue of one of the greatest horror movies to come out in the past 20 or so years. The movie I'm talking about today is director Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead. Zack Snyder, after this, of course, would go on to be known for his DC Comics films, and the screenplay for this was even written by James Gunn, who went on to direct Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy films. So, a lot of talent on both sides of the camera here. I'm going to unbox this release, share my opinions, and let you know if I recommend it or not. Nice close-up of our zombies in shadow there. That looks very cool. There's our spine text on the slipcover, back cover of the package. Underneath the slipcover, again, pretty much the same thing. No reversible art on this one, unfortunately. We have a Blu-ray disc of the theatrical cut, a Blu-ray disc of the unrated cut, and the 4K Ultra High Def disc included is of the unrated cut. No Ultra High Def version of the theatrical cut included, unfortunately, but I do think the director's cut's going to be the one that people generally find themselves going back to, so that's not such a bad thing. I'm going to read the description of the movie from the package. Heart-pounding action and bone-chilling thrills power this edgy and frightening remake of George A. Romero's apocalyptic horror classic, starring Ving Rhames, Sarah Polley, Jake Weber, Mekhi Phifer, and Ty Burrell. From visionary filmmaker Zack Snyder comes a nightmarish vision where society is endangered by a mysterious virus that turns people into mindless, flesh-eating zombies, and a handful of survivors must wage a desperate last-stand battle to stay alive and human. The original George A. Romero Dawn of the Dead from 1978 is one of my favorite films of all time. It may very well be my favorite horror movie ever made. So, of course, they're remaking it here, and I always come into remakes with a bit of skepticism, although I had heard a lot of good things about this version of the story from Zack Snyder, and I'm happy to say that, having seen it for the first time now, this is actually a very solid take on this story. For me, it doesn't top Romero's original, but it's a great way of transplanting this story into modern times. Well, modern for 2004 anyway. The film is extremely gory, violent, and while it may lack some of the nuances and social commentary of the original film, it's certainly a violent, entertaining good time. The cast of the movie is great. You get a lot of likable as well as detestable characters. The zombies, of course, are as threatening and scary looking as you could imagine, and they're not limited to being the slow walking zombies this time around. You definitely get more of a feeling of threat here. And seeing how these characters have to bond and come up with a plan so that they can fight the zombies and, of course, get to freedom and sanctuary until this whole pandemic blows over, it makes for some very interesting viewing. The movie actually clocks in at under 2 hours, which is nice, so it's pretty quickly paced despite everything that it tries to cram in. Probably the only complaint I have with this version of the movie as opposed to the original is they did try to put in a few too many characters, so a lot of them we don't really get to bond with or truly learn who they are. The original movie kept it to only 4 main characters, and I think it was a better movie for that. But despite that, my complaints here are minimal. This version of Dawn of the Dead is absolutely fantastic, and it certainly is better than any remake of any movie has the right to be. Once again, Scream Factory has given us a very good transfer of the film. Again, this is the 4K Ultra High Def debut of the movie, and you get all the expected upgrades here. Vibrant colors, deep dark black levels, shadow detail, HDR, and it all really works to the movie's favor. I do think that it looks a little too hot and overblown and oversaturated in places, but it's hard to tell if that's because of overdone HDR or if that's just because of the original source cinematography. Either way, the movie looks very good for the most part. Several bonus features on both of the Blu-ray discs here. I'm guessing these were probably just carted over from the previous release of the movie, and I'm happy to say that even if there's not really anything new here bonus features-wise, I think fans will be busy watching this stuff for a while. I've only scratched the surface of it, and I need to sit down and take a look at every single thing, but suffice it to say, I think you're going to be pretty well occupied if you're a fan of the film. I can highly recommend this one to any fan of violent, gory, zombie horror movies, or maybe if you're just a fan of the original who wants to see how the remake turned out. You might be pleasantly surprised. Are you a fan of this version of Dawn of the Dead? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, because I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.